Venus Fridays. So let's talk about what's happening with our divine feminine planet, divine feminine representative over this coming week. So a few like astronomical things are happening that don't have anything to do with Venus that we'll talk about first. So on Saturday, tomorrow, we have the waxing half moon. The moon is filling with light, moving towards the full moon coming on the 25th, which is a lunar eclipse and opens the eclipse portal. So we have the waxing half moon in Gemini tomorrow. And so it's gaining light, it's gaining energy. So it's that time when we want to be making sure that we're taking action around the new moon intention that we set just a week ago, right? So it's a square between the sun and the moon. There's an energy that wants to happen and come forth. So we want to be putting energy towards manifesting that new moon intention that we just set. And in Gemini, so we want that to have some kind of like playfulness, funness, not to just be like drudgery, but, have an excitement and a youthful exuberance for taking action around that new moon intention. Then on Sunday, the sun meets with Neptune in the sky in Pisces on the 17th on St. Patrick's Day. So this should be kind of an interesting conjunction, right? So the sun, our light that we're learning to shine, what gives us life, the chi, our prana, is meeting with Neptune, the planet that helps us to go into our hearts, to really connect into universal love, to connect into spirit source energy. All of this is happening in Pisces on St. Patrick's Day. So Pisces is a sign that the unhealthy side of it can be like delusion and addiction. And so St. Patrick's Day is a day that people tend to overindulge just in general, right? So it'll be interesting. I think there'll be a lot of that energy up, as well as the healthier aspect is to really figure out how do I want to say it, like vision and really dream into the light that you want to be shining, right? The healthier aspects of Pisces that connect us into that place of deep love with that capital L. So Sunday could be a great day to just really focus on your heart, feeling your heart, bringing your awareness into that, and trying to use that as like this portal to connect into your higher self, your soul self, and manifesting more of who you're really wanting to be on the planet, right? So maybe not overindulging, right? Or, noticing like our addictive patterns and seeing if there's a way that we could, I guess just bring awareness to them. And then when we get to the eclipse portal, we could talk about like letting go of one of them, but we'll talk about that next week. So then on Tuesday, the 19th is when the sun enters Aries and we have the March equinox, the Aries equinox, right? So we start spring here in the northern hemisphere and fall starts in the southern hemisphere. But it's the moment when the sun is pointing right at the equator is the way that I'm going to grab my globe here, see the axis. So the sun is pointing right at the equator, so we have equal day and night on both sides. So it's the time when the sun rises in the east, due east, and sets due west, depending upon your horizon line. So I live in the mountains, so by the time the sun gets over the mountain, it's a little bit off of east, and it sets just before it gets all the way to west, but pretty close. And it's a great time to start looking at your horizon line and noticing where does that equinox sun rise or set, right? So I have a good eye line on my western horizon, so I look to see where it sets, and there's a little notch in the mountains, so I call that equinox notch, right? So the sun will set there on Tuesday, and then it will set there at the September equinox as well. So I can track where we are in the seasonal cycle by where the sun is setting on my horizon line. So I encourage you to do that as well on this equinox. If you have a good sight line on the eastern side and you're an early bird, then you can do this with the sunrise, or you can do it with the sunset. But it's a great way to anchor yourself into that seasonal cycle. And so what does it mean with the season is changing for you personally where you live, right? For me in Colorado, it'll still feel somewhat like winter, but it's kind of our own funky brand, our own Aspen ski town wintry brand of spring, where it's getting warmer, the days are longer. We have like slushy skiing, and the snow is starting to melt out of the yard and on the paths, right? So what is the seasonal change at the equinox happen? How do you experience it? How does it feel for you? What are you noticing? It's a time to just tune into what's happening on the earth. What are the animals and the birds doing, the plants, the trees, all of that, and tracking where the sun is on your horizon line. And then finally now a Venus thing. So on Thursday, Venus is conjunct Saturn. So Venus meets with Saturn on Thursday in Pisces, right? So lots of Pisces stuff still going on, even though we start to move into Aries season. So Venus, the divine feminine, meeting with Saturn, the planet of contraction, right? So this could feel like, Saturn gets a bad rap, but really Saturn helps us clarify and get clear on what we want to be doing with our energy by that contraction that comes in. So, we could kind of be going along, sort of bleeding our energy off in all these various ways that we don't love, but it's not enough of an impetus to get us to really like shift that and stop doing that. But when Saturn comes in, all of a sudden it's like, that thing bugs me. I don't want to waste my energy that way. I want to pull it back in and use it for the things that I really want. This is the energy that's meeting with the feminine, Venus, our divine feminine planet. And so I think it could be, there'll be an impetus that day of like, what are you doing with your feminine expression? Is it something that you are in tune with? Is it something that you kind of waste energy around? Is it part of your focus? Saturn coming in can say, let's bring this really down into the real world. And how do we start to really cultivate and step more into that feminine energy and bring more of that feminine energy out within ourselves and into the world? So there's a lot going on this week, and a big conjunction with Venus on Thursday at the end of the week. And I hope that this week treats you well, and I hope that you enjoyed this.